I know, it's real nice for piano teachers, that aspect.
No tuning is
nice. For the violins, setup is generally kind of the same with guitar. You just kind of have to look at what you have to work with. If you have desks or tables or something, you can use the little easels if you like that. They can also take their violin case and just flip it up on the desk, and that makes like a little music stand. Sometimes you have to put one case behind the other so it doesn't like tip backwards. Just kind of, you have to look at your scenario and what you have to work with and go with that. That's pretty much it on setup. Yes?
On the piano, if there are just chairs in the room, how do you handle that? Those things have to be on level surface.
I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to, because we're going to have all the classes at each school. We're trying to get on the same day. So if we're at Hunters Creek Elementary, they're going to have guitar and piano and violin all on the same day. So we'll have 3, possibly 4, if we have 2 different guitar classes going on, rooms to choose from. And so we would just kind of work with that at the beginning, have all the teachers kind of the first day say, okay, this is going to work best for violin setup, this would work good for piano setup. So I think with that much to work with, we probably would be able to have a setup like that, I think. So.
Worst case scenario, if there's no desks or tables in there, crisscross applesauce.
Put them on the floor. And I've done that in a guitar class too, because I've walked into a classroom where we normally have chairs, and for some reason that day there's no chairs, and so it's just crisscross applesauce. I've done it in violin too. It's just kind of have to go with the nature of what it is, For violin, if they got to stand up when it's their turn to play or whatever, you got to be real flexible and just work with what you have going on. So it varies from school to school and from week to week. So.
Yeah, that happens a lot actually, because we're in their classrooms. You never know you can never guarantee that you're going to walk in, even if all year it's been perfect. You might walk in that one day, and I've walked into all sorts of different scenarios. I've walked into a classroom with like an 8x8 square to work with, and I had to just switch to classrooms because they had stuffed all the television equipment in there that day. And they don't always, they're busy, they're not always going to have a chance to say something to you. Usually, most staff, when you walk into the school, they'll let you know if there's something going on, if there's something different, if you've switched rooms on you or anything like that. But occasionally it happens where they don't know up front, or they forgot to say, or,
and
so
then,
you gotta be ready
usually
for
if
those
you just walk up to the front office and let them know, hey, book fair's going on in my room, where would you like me to go today? They'll be very accommodating,
Yeah, and usually they already
outside before, because they're just that's how it worked out that day. But most of the time, you're in your setting and it works out pretty good. So, all right, yes, would you go to next?
Is she going to go over the general class outline?
Yes.
Time outline?
Yeah. No. It's like that.
All right. Each of the teachers that teach violin today will be getting one of these. It's a teacher manual, and we're going to be having manuals for guitar and for the piano too, but they're not completed and back from the printer and that sort of thing. But it'll be along these same general lines. This is not like a Bible where you have to follow every single word or whatever. This is so that if you're going in class and you look at it ahead of time, so you know what to take with you, your materials, your objective, what you might have an additional objective, or there are lessons in here that you don't even want to teach that song. It's okay. It's not like you have to do every song in the book. You're going to have ones that your student enjoys more. And so, anyway, just to kind of make it easier for you.
Do you want me to pass something out to look at?
Sure.
I don't know if I have one for everybody.
Your class, generally speaking, is going to be 55 minutes. And so, in that time, at the beginning of each lesson, you'll see materials, objectives, but the whole thing, it doesn't say 15 minutes for this, 10 minutes for that. But in the beginning part of the book, and I'll just read it to you, it's hardly anything there, but I gotta qualify this by saying the first 2 lessons of your year are gonna be way different from any other lesson. So this is just after that, okay? Like, after that, your normal lesson, when you welcome the kids in, you're gonna be at the door and you say, "Oh, hi Mary, it's so glad you could come today. I missed you last week," or "Jack's gonna have new shoes." And if this is all welcome. You're gonna make them feel happy to be there. You do not have to have a comment for every single person, but if you comment on somebody's new shoes, you are showing that you care what goes on in their life besides their music, which a lot of their teachers, they don't have that concept, and that makes them more, if you like somebody else's shoes, that means you notice theirs too. You know what I mean? You say, somebody could be looking sad, and you say, "Oh man, did you have a tough day? Hey, music is gonna make you happy, come on in." You know what I mean? Just so that's what this welcome means, make people feel good that they're there with you. The tuning and taking roll, all that is gonna take about 15 minutes of your time. So then, the next part, which would take about 20 minutes of your time, will be things like what we're called content presentation, guided practice, in different, checking for understanding. In different lessons, I just had a different name for them depending on what it was. And all these are just examples of how you would do it. So that's going to be about 20 minutes for the main feature that I'm teaching today. That's about a 20-minute thing. And then you're going to have a spotlight where you might want to spotlight a certain child, or you might want to spotlight the second graders, or it could be a variation of different things. You also have, this is taking place in the next 20-minute segment. And when I'm teaching, I'm not looking at a clock really, unless I'm thinking we're close to getting time. I gotta get these kids ready to scoot out of here. Most of the time, I'm not really looking at a clock. It just turns out to be about that much time. If you kind of, you get into your own little way that you teach, and it'll kind of work like that. But the last 20 minutes or so, you would have already taught what you wanted to have taught for that day. And so then you'd have time to look ahead. Next week we're going to be putting our first finger down on the D string. So you guys, why don't you try that? Because next week we're going to be learning some songs with this. Oh yeah, try it. Do you remember where your D string is? Oh yeah, that's right. You know what I mean? You're kind of like getting them so that next week when they come, it's like, oh yeah, I remember she talked about that. It's not like, oh my gosh, I have to put my finger down. So you can do that. You might have some time for games. You might have to give out some awards that day. So all that stuff you're looking ahead. Okay, can I get you, if you have a book, if you don't, you're going to be sharing it with somebody. I'm just randomly opening the book to anything, and I went to lesson 8. And the title of this lesson is Marching Penguins. It happens to be in your guitar classes and your violin, so this is a good one to go over. It may be that this is the 8th lesson you've taught, and it may be that it's the 6th lesson because your kids are really smart and they went all the way to that one already. Maybe it's the 10th because this group just doesn't get it. So you go a little bit slower. They don't know it's lesson 8, okay? You know what lesson you taught last week, and so, dog-ear the book or whatever, so that if you need to, have a quick look at it before you leave your house, or the day before, night before, or whatever, you're going to look at your materials. Was I supposed to do all this right now, or just cover the time?
This is
okay?
This is fine.
All right. So you look at your materials. Oh, I got to get my poster. You don't have to make your poster.
You're going to have it all there.
You already have your poster made because we're so wonderful. So you just go through your little packet. Oh, here's my poster, and then you're going to have your CD and your player, or if you use an iPod, you're going to have that, whatever you use for your audio part. You're going to have that with you. In this, we're going to have a go fishing review game. Now, that works for younger kids, but we have these little fish. They have magnets. They have paper clips on their nose, and then we have a little magnet on the end of a drumstick or a broken violin bow, and they catch the fish. And whatever number it says on the back, if it says 8, you can make 8 whatever you want it to be. You can make 8 be, oh, you're so lucky, that's the student's choice. Or you can make number 8, you have to name the notes on your instrument, you have to name the strings. Or number 8 means we're going to play the backwards concert song. It's whatever you want it to be. So you don't want to put the name of a song on that because then you have to change it every time. If you just have a number on there, you're good to go for a whole year on that thing. But maybe your older kids don't want to do the fishing game. We'll have a variation of that.
We're going to be working on some that are kind of, those will work good for violin and piano classes, the fishing games and that stuff, because that's kind of the crowd you draw with those. We're working on coming up